The message came at 3 in the morning. Was sleeping in her small apartment on Earth when her communication device started making loud sounds. She opened her eyes and looked at the screen. The words made her sit up fast. Emergency summons, Galactic Council, attendance required within 6 standard hours. Read the message 3 times. In her 12 years as a diplomat, she had never received a summons like this. The Galactic Council only called emergency meetings for one reason: war. She got out of bed and walked to her window. Outside, the city was quiet and peaceful. People were sleeping in their homes. Children were dreaming safe dreams. They did not know that somewhere far away, powerful aliens were making decisions about their future. Took a deep breath. She was 43 years old. Her hair was starting to turn gray at the edges. Her face had lines from years of difficult negotiations, but her eyes were still sharp and clear. Those eyes had stared down warlords and criminals. They had watched empires fall and new nations rise. They had seen things that would break most people. She walked to her closet and took out her formal uniform. It was simple and black with a small Earth symbol on the chest. No medals, no decorations. Humans had learned long ago that aliens did not respect shiny things. They respected results. Her assistant, a young man named Ho Park, called her as she was getting dressed. "Ambassador, I just saw the summons," he said. His voice was worried. "What is happening?" "I do not know yet," said. "But it cannot be good. Prepare my ship. I will leave in 1 hour." "Should I come with you?" Thought about it. Ho was smart and loyal. He had been her assistant for 5 years, but the Galactic Council was a dangerous place. If things went wrong, she did not want him there. "No," she said. "Stay here. If I do not return in 3 days, contact Admiral One Hand. He will know what to do." There was silence on the other end. Ho understood what she was saying. She might not come back. "Yes, Ambassador," he said quietly. "Good luck." Ended the call and finished getting ready. She looked at herself in the mirror one last time. She looked tired. She looked old, but she also looked ready. The trip to the Galactic Council station took 4 hours. Spent most of that time reading reports and studying information. Something had changed in the galaxy. The Dominion, one of the most powerful alien empires, had been making strange moves for months. They were building more warships. They were calling back their ambassadors from human worlds. They were talking about old territories and ancient rights. Knew what this meant. They were preparing for war, and humanity was their target. When her ship arrived at the council station, she saw that she was not the only one who had been called. Ships from 12 different species were already there. Their vessels floated in space like metal mountains. Each one was bigger than anything humans could build. Each one carried enough weapons to destroy entire planets. And among all those ships, there was only one small human transport. It looked like a toy next to the others. Smiled a little. Humans had always been the smallest ones in the room. It did not matter. Size was not everything. She docked her ship and walked through the long corridors of the station. Alien guards watched her with unfriendly eyes. Some of them were with their gray skin and 4 arms. Others were tall and thin like walking sticks. There were covered in hard shells. There were with their many eyes and clicking voices. None of them spoke to her. None of them showed respect. To them, she was just a human, a creature from a small planet in a forgotten corner of the galaxy, a species that had only discovered space travel 200 years ago, a child playing with adults. Kept walking. She had seen this attitude before. It did not bother her anymore. The council chamber was a massive room in the center of the station. It was round, with seats arranged in a circle around a central platform. Each species had their own section. They sat in the largest section, of course. Their leader, High Arbiter, was already there. Was old even by standards. His gray skin had turned almost white with age. His 4 arms were thin but still strong. His eyes, dark and cold, watched everything with careful attention. He had ruled the Dominion for over 300 years. He had destroyed dozens of species. He had built an empire that covered half the galaxy. And now he wanted to destroy humanity. Walk to the human section. It was the smallest section in the room. There was only one seat. She sat down and waited. Slowly the other representatives arrived, the Prime Minister, the War Chief, the collective voice. One by one they took their places. Some of them looked at with pity, some looked at her with anger, most did not look at her at all. When everyone was seated, stood up. His voice was deep and strong, even though he was so old. "We are gathered here for an important matter," he said, "the question of humanity." Did not move. She kept her face calm and empty. "For 200 years, humans have spread across our galaxy," continued. "They have taken planets that do not belong to them. They have built colonies in sacred space. They have insulted our traditions and ignored our laws." This was not true, of course. Humans had been very careful to follow all the rules. They had only settled on planets that no one else wanted. They had paid all the required fees and taxes. They had shown respect to every species they met. But truth did not matter here. This was politics, and in politics truth was just another weapon. "The Dominion has been patient," said. "We have given humanity time to correct their mistakes, but they have not listened. They have not changed, and now our patience is at an end." He turned to look directly at. His dark eyes were full of hatred. "Ambassador," he said, "you have 1 hour to contact your government and accept our terms. You will surrender all your colony worlds. You will give up your fleet. You will accept supervision of your home planet. If you refuse, we will destroy you." The chamber was silent. Every alien in the room was watching, waiting to see how the little human would react, waiting to see her beg or cry or try to run away. Did not beg, she did not cry, she did not run away. She simply sat in her chair, looked at with her tired, clear eyes and said nothing. 1 hour. She had 1 hour to save her entire species. And she intended to use every second of it. The silence in the council chamber was heavy and thick, could feel it pressing against her skin like deep water. Every eye in the room was watching her. Every alien was waiting for her reaction. High Arbiter stood on the central platform with his 4 arms crossed over his chest. His white-gray face showed a small smile. He was enjoying this. He had planned this moment for years, maybe decades. The destruction of humanity was his final great achievement. "Well, Ambassador," said, "do you have nothing to say, no words of protest, no pleas for mercy?" Looked at him calmly. "I am thinking," she said. Several aliens laughed. The sound was ugly and cruel. The Prime Minister, a tall creature named, leaned forward in his seat. "Thinking," said, "what is there to think about? Your species is finished. Accept the terms and perhaps some of you will be allowed to live." Did not respond. She was counting in her head, 57 minutes left. "The human is scared," said War Chief of the. His shell-covered body clicked and clattered as he moved. "Look at her, she cannot even speak. Pathetic." More laughter filled the chamber. Ignored it. She had heard worse things in her career. Words could not hurt her. Only weapons could hurt her, and right now, no one was pointing weapons at her face. She stood up slowly from her chair. The laughter stopped. Every alien watched as she walked to the edge of her section, closer to the central platform where was standing. High Arbiter said. Her voice was calm and clear. "Before I contact my government, I would like to understand your terms more clearly. May I ask some questions?" Looked surprised. He had expected her to be crying by now. Instead, she was asking questions like this was a normal negotiation. "Ask," he said. "You want us to surrender all our colony worlds," said. "That is 47 planets with a total population of 8 billion people. What will happen to those people?" Waved one of his hands in a dismissive gesture. "They will be relocated to your home planet, Earth, I believe you call it." Earth cannot support 8 billion additional people, said. We would face starvation and resource collapse within 2 years. That is not our concern, said. Nodded slowly. I see, and our fleet, you want us to give up all our warships. Every single one, said. You will keep only basic transport vessels. No weapons, no military technology. And the supervision of Earth, what does that mean exactly? Smile grew wider. It means that administrators will live on your planet. They will watch everything you do. They will control your government, your economy, your education system. They will decide how many children you can have. They will decide what jobs you can work. They will decide what thoughts you can think. The other aliens in the chamber were nodding in approval. This was normal to them. This was how stronger species treated weaker species. This was the way of the galaxy. His face remained calm, but inside something cold and hard was forming. She had suspected this. She had known what they really wanted, not just control, complete ownership. They wanted to turn humanity into slaves. Thank you for explaining, said. Now I understand your position clearly. She turned and walked back to her seat, but she did not sit down. Instead, she stood behind her chair with her hands resting on the back of it. I have another question, she said. Why? Frowned. Why what? Why do you want to destroy us? We are a small species. We have a small fleet. We control a tiny corner of the galaxy. We are no threat to you. So why? The chamber became very quiet again. This was not a question that aliens usually asked. Power needed no reason. Strength was its own explanation. But decided to answer. Perhaps he wanted to enjoy his victory a little more. You humans are a disease, he said. His voice was cold and hard. Everywhere you go, you spread your strange ideas, freedom, equality, rights. These are dangerous concepts. They make other species restless. They make them question the natural order of things. He stepped down from the platform and walked closer too. His 4 arms moved in complex patterns as he spoke. Before you came, the galaxy was peaceful. Everyone knew their place. The strong ruled. The weak obeyed. That is how it has been for millions of years. That is how it should be. He stopped just a few steps away from. He was much taller than her. He looked down at her like she was an insect. But then humanity arrived, and suddenly other species started having ideas. The workers began asking for better conditions. The lower castes demanded representation. Even some of our own citizens started questioning our traditions. His dark eyes burned with anger. All because of you, because of your poisonous philosophy, because of your foolish belief that all beings are equal. Looked up at him without fear. We believe what we believe, she said. We cannot change our nature. Then we will end your nature, said. We will erase humanity from the galaxy. We will burn your planets and scatter your ashes in the void. And in 1,000 years, no one will even remember that you existed. He turned and walked back to the platform. His voice became formal again. You have 40 minutes left, Ambassador. Use them wisely. Sat down in her chair. She could feel the eyes of every alien on her. They were waiting for her to break. They were waiting for her to contact Earth and beg her government to surrender. But was not going to do that. Instead, she took out a small device from her pocket and began reading something on its screen. She looked completely relaxed. She looked like she was reading a book in a park on a sunny day. The aliens watched her with confusion. The collective voice, a creature with dozens of eyes on stalks, moved closer to get a better look. What are you doing, human? The voice asked. Its words came out in clicks and whistles that translator turned into speech. I am reading poetry, said without looking up. Earth poetry from a writer named Park. She lived 500 years ago. Would you like to hear some? The voice pulled back in surprise. Poetry at a time like this? There is always time for poetry, said. She looked up and smiled a little. Besides, I still have 38 minutes. I do not want to waste them. More murmurs filled the chamber. The aliens did not understand. Their captive was supposed to be scared and desperate. Instead, she was reading poetry and smiling. High Arbiter watched with narrowed eyes. Something was wrong. He could feel it. This human was not behaving the way she should be behaving. "You are very calm for someone whose species is about to die," said. Put away her device and looked at him. "Death comes for everyone," she said. "Humans, even galaxies die eventually. The question is not whether we die. The question is how we live." Snorted, "Philosophy, is that your defense? Words and ideas." "Words and ideas have power," said. "You said so yourself. You are afraid of our words and ideas. That is why you want to destroy us." The chamber fell silent. Had just called the most powerful being in the galaxy afraid. No one had ever dared to do that before. His face turned dark with anger. "I am not afraid of humans." "Then why did you bring so many ships?" asked. She gestured toward the windows where the massive alien fleet was visible. "Why did you call 12 species together? Why did you make this a council matter instead of just attacking us?" She stood up again and spread her arms. "You are afraid, High Arbiter. You are all afraid, because deep down you know something about humans that you do not want to admit." "And what is that?" demanded. Smile disappeared. Her face became serious and cold. "You know that we do not give up. You know that we do not surrender. You know that even if you destroy us, we will take as many of you with us as we can. You know that this war will cost you more than you can imagine." She looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. "That is why you gave me an ultimatum instead of just attacking. You want us to surrender peacefully. You want us to accept defeat without a fight, because you know that if we fight, you will bleed. And the Dominion has not bled in a very, very long time." The silence in the chamber was different now. It was not the silence of contempt. It was the silence of uncertainty. Sat back down and picked up her poetry device again. "I still have 32 minutes, she said. "Let me know when the hour is up." And she went back to reading, while the most powerful beings in the galaxy watched her with growing doubt in their hearts. The hour passed slowly. Every minute felt like a lifetime. The aliens in the council chamber grew restless. They whispered to each other in their strange languages. They shifted in their seats. They watched the small human woman with growing confusion. Did not move. She sat in her chair and read her poetry. Sometimes her lips moved silently as she read a particularly beautiful line. Sometimes she smiled at something only she could understand. She looked peaceful. She looked content. High Arbiter watched her with cold fury in his eyes. This was not how it was supposed to happen. The human should be trembling with fear. She should be sending desperate messages to her government. She should be begging for more time. Instead, she was reading poetry. When the hour finally ended, stood up and raised his 4 arms for attention. The chamber fell silent. Ambassador said, "Your time is up. What is your answer?" Put away her device and stood up slowly. She brushed some dust from her black uniform. She adjusted the earth symbol on her chest. She took a deep breath. Then she walked to the central platform. No one stopped her. No one had expected her to move. By the time the guards realized what was happening, she was already standing on the platform next to. "Get off this platform," demanded. "This is not your place." "I need everyone to hear me clearly," said. "I hope you do not mind." Before could respond, turned to face the entire chamber. Her voice was calm and steady, but there was steel underneath it. "Distinguished members of the Galactic Council," she began, "I have heard your ultimatum. I have considered your terms, and I have an answer for you." She paused and looked around the room. Every alien was watching her. Every eye was fixed on her small human form. "But before I give my answer, I want to tell you a story. A story about my species. A story about what it means to be human." Made an angry sound. "We do not have time for stories." "You gave me an hour," said. You can give me 10 minutes more." Something in her voice made stop. He did not know why, but he wanted to hear what she had to say. Perhaps it was curiosity. Perhaps it was something else. "Speak," he said finally. Nodded and began her story. 65 million years ago, a rock fell from the sky and hit our planet. It was only 10 kilometers wide, a small thing, really, but it killed almost everything on Earth. The dinosaurs, the great creatures that ruled our world, were wiped out. The sky turned black. The plants died. The temperature dropped. It was the end of the world. She walked slowly across the platform as she spoke. But not completely. Some creatures survived. Small things, weak things, things that hid in the dark and ate whatever they could find. Our ancestors were among them. They survived because they refused to die. 10,000 years ago, there was an ice age. Giant sheets of ice covered our planet. Food was scarce. Many species went extinct. Humans should have died too. We were not strong like bears. We were not fast like wolves. We were not built for cold weather. She stopped and looked at the war chief. But we survived. We made clothes from animal skins. We made fire to stay warm. We hunted together in groups. We shared our food with each other. We survived because we worked together. She turned to the Prime Minister. 500 years ago, there was a plague on Earth, a disease called the Black Death. It killed half of our population. Half. Can you imagine? Your species watching as half your people died in agony. Many thought it was the end of humanity. She shook her head slowly. But we survived. We learned about medicine. We built hospitals. We found cures. The disease made us stronger, not weaker. Now she turned to face directly. 100 years ago, we almost destroyed ourselves. We built weapons that could burn entire cities in seconds. We pointed these weapons at each other. We came within minutes of ending our own species. Her voice grew harder. But we survived. We stepped back from the edge. We chose life instead of death. We chose hope instead of despair. She spread her arms wide. That is what humans are, High Arbiter. We are survivors. We do not give up. We do not surrender. When the universe tries to kill us, we fight back. When everything seems hopeless, we find hope. When everyone says we cannot win, we win anyway. The chamber was completely silent. Every alien was listening. Even the guards had stopped moving. Lowered her arms and looked directly into his dark eyes. "You ask me to surrender our colonies. You ask me to give up our fleet. You ask me to let you control our planet. You ask me to accept the death of everything we are." Her voice became quiet but clear. "My answer is no." His face twisted with anger. "Then your species will be destroyed." "Perhaps," said, "but I do not think so." She reached into her pocket and took out a small communication device. She pressed a button and spoke into it. "Admiral Han, please connect me to the council chamber display." For a moment, nothing happened. Then the great windows of the chamber flickered. The view of space changed. Instead of showing the alien fleet, the windows now showed something else. Ships, human ships, hundreds of them. The aliens gasped in shock. War Chief jumped to his feet. The collective voice made sounds of alarm, even stepped backward in surprise. The human fleet should not be there. It was supposed to be far away, protecting Earth and the colonies. But there it was, surrounding the council station like a swarm of insects. "How," demanded, "how did your ships get here?" Smiled a little. "We sent them 3 weeks ago, when we first heard about your plans." "You knew," the Prime Minister's voice was high with shock. "You knew about the ultimatum." "We suspected," said. "They have not been very subtle. We saw the signs. We prepared." She put away her communication device and crossed her arms. "Right now, High Arbiter, my fleet is not attacking. They are waiting. If I give the order, they will open fire on this station. Every alien leader in this room will die, including you." His 4 hands clenched into fists. "You would die too." "Yes," said calmly, "I would. but humans do not mind dying if it means protecting our people. That is another thing you never understood about us." She took a step closer too. "But I do not want to die today, and I do not want to start a war, so I am going to give you a choice." The chamber was so quiet that could hear her own heartbeat. "You can accept my ultimatum instead. Remove your demands. Leave humanity alone. Let us live in peace. If you do this, my fleet will stand down. No one will die today." Laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You think your little ships can defeat the combined forces of 12 species?" "No," said. "I do not think we can win a war against all of you, but we can make you bleed. We can destroy your ships and burn your planets. We can make this war so costly that even if you win, you will lose." She leaned closer. "How many are you willing to sacrifice? How many of your citizens will die so that you can control one small species? 10 million, 100 million, a billion?" Did not answer. His face was frozen. "I know the answer," said. "You are not willing to sacrifice any of them, because you are a tyrant and tyrants only care about their own power. A costly war would weaken you. It would give your enemies a chance to move against you. It would threaten everything you have built." She stepped back and raised her voice so everyone in the chamber could hear. "So here is my response to your ultimatum, High Arbiter. If you want war with humanity, then the war begins now, and it ends with the destruction of everyone in this room, including me." She paused and let her words sink in. "Or you can choose peace. The choice is yours." The chamber exploded in noise. Aliens shouted at each other. Guards moved uncertainly. The windows showed the human fleet moving into attack positions. And in the middle of it all, stood on the platform with her arms crossed, waiting for an answer. She had done everything she could. Now the fate of humanity was in the hands of a tyrant. And she had no idea what he would choose. The chaos in the council chamber lasted for several minutes. Aliens shouted at each other in their many languages. Guards ran back and forth, not knowing what to do. Some representatives tried to leave, but the doors were sealed. Stood on the central platform and watched it all with calm eyes. She had expected this reaction. She had planned for it. High Arbiter stood frozen in place. His 4 arms hung at his sides. His dark eyes stared at the windows where the human fleet was visible. He was trying to think, trying to find a way out of this situation. Finally, he raised his arms and shouted for silence. His voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. Slowly, the noise died down. "You are bluffing," said Tu. His voice was hard but uncertain. "Your fleet cannot defeat us. They are smaller and weaker than our combined forces." "That is true," said. "In a normal battle we would lose, but this is not a normal battle." She pressed a button on her communication device. A new image appeared on the windows. It showed a planet, a gray planet with dark oceans and white cities. This image was taken 1 hour ago," said, "by a human ship that is currently in orbit around your planet." His face turned pale. "Impossible, our defenses would have detected it." "Your defenses did detect it," said. "They just did not recognize it. We made the ship look like a merchant vessel. It flew right past your defenses without any problems." She changed the image again. Now it showed more ships, dozens of human vessels surrounding the like a net. "There are 37 human ships around your planet right now, High Arbiter. They have been there for 2 days. They could have destroyed your cities. They could have burned your fields. They could have killed billions of your people." Her voice became soft and cold. "But they did not, because we are not like you. We do not kill innocent people to prove a point. We do not destroy worlds because we can. We are better than that." The chamber was completely silent. Every alien was staring at the images on the windows. They could not believe what they were seeing. The war chief spoke first. His voice was rough with shock. "If you had attacked the war would have been over before it started. Why did you not attack?" "Turn to face him." Because that is not who we are. We came to the galaxy in peace. We want to live in peace. We do not want to conquer anyone. We do not want to rule anyone. We just want to be left alone. She looked around the chamber at all the alien faces. Every species here has the power to destroy us. You have bigger ships. You have more resources. You have millions of years of experience. If you all attack us together, we will lose. She paused. But we will not go quietly. We will fight with everything we have. We will make you pay for every planet you take. We will make you regret ever starting this war. She turned back to, "Yours is just the beginning, High Arbiter. We have ships hidden near every major colony. We have agents on your stations and in your cities. We have plans that you cannot imagine." His hands were shaking. His whole body was trembling with rage and fear. "You planned this from the beginning," he said. "You knew we would call this meeting. You knew we would give you an ultimatum." "We suspected," said. "We hoped we were wrong. We hoped you would see that humanity is not a threat. We hoped you would choose peace." She shook her head sadly. "But you did not. You chose war, so we prepared for war." The Prime Minister stood up from his seat. His thin body swayed as he moved. "High Arbiter," he said carefully, "perhaps we should reconsider this situation. The humans have shown that they are more capable than we thought. A war with them would be costly for everyone." Turned on him with fury in his eyes. "You would back down. You would show weakness to these insects." "I would show wisdom," the Prime Minister said. "There is no shame in choosing peace when war offers only destruction." More voices joined in. The collective voice clicked and whistled in agreement. The war chief, despite his earlier insults, admitted that the human strategy had been impressive. Even some of the smaller species, who had remained silent until now, began speaking in favor of negotiation. Looked around the chamber with growing horror. His perfect plan was falling apart. His allies were abandoning him. His moment of triumph was turning into his greatest defeat. "This is treason," he shouted. "The Dominion will not forget this betrayal." "The Dominion is not the galaxy," said quietly. "You have ruled through fear for 300 years, High Arbiter, but fear only works as long as people believe you are invincible. Today, they have learned that you are not." She stepped closer to him. "I am going to tell you something now, something that I have learned in my years as a diplomat. Power built on fear is always temporary. It lasts only as long as the fear lasts. When the fear is gone, the power goes with it." She gestured at the chamber. "Look around you. Your allies are already questioning you. They are wondering if following you is worth the cost. They are thinking about their own planets, their own people, their own futures." She smiled a little. "And they are thinking about humanity. About this small species that dared to stand up to the Great Dominion. About these weak creatures who showed more courage than any of them." Walked to the edge of the platform and looked up at all the alien faces watching her. "We did not come here to threaten you. We did not come here to start a war. We came here to show you who we really are." She spread her arms. "Humanity chooses diplomacy over destruction. We choose peace over war. We choose hope over fear. And we choose freedom over slavery, no matter what the cost." Her voice rang through the chamber. "If you want to destroy us, you can try, but you will find that humans do not break easily. We bend, but we do not snap. We fall, but we get back up. We lose battles, but we win wars." She lowered her arms and looked directly at. "So make your choice, High Arbiter, war or peace, destruction or cooperation, the old way or a new way." She paused. "But know this, whatever you choose, humanity will survive. We always survive. That is what we do." The chamber was silent. Every alien was watching, waiting for his decision, waiting to see what the most powerful being in the galaxy would do. Stood on the platform with his 4 arms hanging at his sides. His face was a mask of anger and frustration. He had never been challenged like this before. He had never been forced to back down. But he was also not a fool. He could see the numbers. He could read the room. He knew that if he started this war, he might not survive it. His empire might not survive it. For 300 years, he had built the Dominion into the greatest power in the galaxy. He had crushed dozens of species. He had conquered thousands of worlds. He had seemed invincible. And now a small human woman with gray hair and tired eyes had shown him that he was not. The silence stretched on. Every second felt like an hour. The fate of billions hung in the balance. Finally spoke. "I will consider your proposal," he said. His voice was flat and empty. "We will discuss terms." It was not surrender, it was not victory, but it was enough. Nodded slowly. "That is all I ask." She stepped down from the platform and walked back to her small section of the chamber. Her legs were shaking. Her heart was pounding, but she did not let anyone see. She had done it. She had stopped the war. She had saved her people. Now the real work would begin. The negotiations lasted for 3 weeks. Barely slept during that time. She attended meetings from early morning until late at night. She argued and debated and compromised. She fought for every point, every word, every small advantage. She was not alone anymore. Other human diplomats arrived from Earth to help her. Admiral One Hand came with his fleet commanders to discuss military matters. Scientists and economists and lawyers all joined the effort, but remained the center of everything. She was the one the aliens wanted to talk to. She was the one who had stood up to. She was the one who had changed everything. High Arbiter did not participate in most of the negotiations. He sent his representatives instead. The great tyrant had retreated to his private chambers and refused to come out. Everyone knew why. He was humiliated. A small human woman had beaten him without firing a single shot. His reputation was destroyed. His power was crumbling. The other alien species smelled weakness. They began making their own demands. The wanted more trade rights. The wanted military concessions. The wanted access to technology. The empire that had built was starting to fall apart, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. On the 15th day of negotiations, something unexpected happened. A group of officers came to the council station. They were not representatives. They were soldiers, and they were carrying weapons. Was in her quarters when she heard the news. She rushed to the main corridor just in time to see the officers marching towards chambers. "What is happening?" she asked the guard. The guard looked nervous. "They are removing the High Arbiter from power. There is going to be a new government." His heart beat faster. This was dangerous. If the new leaders wanted war, everything she had worked for would be destroyed. She followed the officers at a safe distance. Other aliens were watching too. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. The officers reached chambers and broke down the door. There were sounds of shouting and struggling, then silence. A few minutes later, the officers came out. They were carrying between them. The old tyrant looked small and fragile. His 4 arms hung limp at his sides. His dark eyes were empty. An officer stepped forward and spoke in a loud voice. "By order of the High Council, is removed from the position of High Arbiter. He will face trial for crimes against the people and the galactic community." The corridor erupted in noise. Aliens shouted questions. Guards ran back and forth. Reporters tried to get closer. Watched as they took away. The being who had wanted to destroy her entire species was now a prisoner. The being who had ruled half the galaxy was now powerless. She felt no satisfaction, only relief. The new government was led by a council of 5 leaders. They were younger then. They had different ideas about how the galaxy should work. They wanted peace and cooperation instead of war and conquest. The negotiations continued, but they moved faster now. The new leaders were eager to show that they were different from. They agreed to leave humanity alone. They agreed to recognize human territory. They even agreed to exchange ambassadors and establish trade relationships. But the biggest change came on the last day of negotiations. Was sitting in the council chamber when the Prime Minister stood up and made an announcement. The Galactic Council has voted on a new proposal, he said. We have decided to create a permanent seat for humanity on this council. Ambassador, if you accept, you will be the first human to sit among us as an equal. Could not speak for a moment. She had not expected this. She had only wanted to save her people. She had not imagined that they would be given a place in galactic government. She stood up slowly and looked around the chamber. The same aliens who had laughed at her 3 weeks ago were now watching her with respect. Some were even smiling. I accept, she said. On behalf of humanity, I accept. The chamber filled with applause. Even the representatives clapped their hands. The war that should have destroyed humanity had instead lifted them up to a new level. When the ceremonies were over, returned to her ship. Ho Park was waiting for her. He looked tired but happy. You did it, he said. You really did it. Shook her head. We did it, all of us. I was just the one standing in front. She sat down in her chair and looked out the window. The council station was getting smaller as her ship moved away. The alien fleet was dispersing, each species returning to their own part of the galaxy. What happens now? Ho asked. Now we go home, said. We rest. We spend time with our families. We remember what we were fighting for. She paused. And then we get back to work. We have a seat on the council now. We have a voice in galactic affairs. We have responsibilities. Ho nodded. Do you think they will accept us, really accept us? Thought about the question for a long time. Some will, she said finally. Some will see us as equals and partners. Others will still look down on us. They will still think of us as small and weak and young. She smiled a little. But that is fine. We have always been underestimated. We have always been dismissed. And we have always proved them wrong. She turned to face Ho. That is what it means to be human. We do not need others to believe in us. We believe in ourselves. We know what we are capable of. And we never stop fighting for what we believe in. The ship entered faster than light travel. The stars outside blurred into long lines of light. Ambassador Ho said, I have a question. Yes. Were you scared? In the council chamber when you stood up too, were you scared? Was quiet for a moment, then she laughed softly. I was terrified, she said. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding. I thought I was going to die. But you did not show it, you looked so calm. Of course I did not show it. That was the whole point. If they had seen my fear, everything would have been lost. She leaned back in her chair and closed her eyes. Courage is not the absence of fear, Ho. Courage is being afraid and doing what needs to be done anyway. That is another thing humans are good at. Ho nodded slowly. I will remember that. Good, because you are going to need that lesson someday. When you are the one standing in front of powerful enemies. When you are the one who has to be brave. She opened her eyes and looked at him. Humanity's story is not over. It is just beginning. There will be more challenges, more enemies, more moments when everything seems hopeless. She reached out and put her hand on his shoulder. But we will face them together, and we will survive because that is what we do. The ship flew on through the endless darkness of space. Behind them, the Galactic Council station grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared. But what had happened there would never disappear. The story of the human diplomat who stood up to a tyrant and won without firing a shot would spread across the galaxy. It would be told on 1,000 worlds. It would inspire millions of beings. And whenever someone asked what humans were really like, the answer would always be the same. They are survivors, they are fighters, they are dreamers. And they never, ever give up.